Hello and welcome to another pen video from me, Penultimate Dave. So I have another 10 pens currently inked this week. I think let's go through these briefly one by one. We'll go through them in a little bit more detail and then we'll do a writing sample. So from left to right we have the London Pen Company. This is the Christopher 15 in Jonathan Brooks Primary Manipulation 1. We have a Black Robin Pens Iago. We have a Atelier Lusso Andromeda, and this is in the Dragon. We have a Edison Pen Company Collier in the Antique Marble. We have a Visconti Davina Desert Spring. We have a Visconti Ecstasy de Oud. We have a Pilot Custom Yurushi in the Vermilion. We have a Pelican M805 in the Ocean Swirl. We have a Delta Federico. And we have an Atelier Lusso Carina in the Black Ice Alumilite. So let's take a look at these pens in a little bit more detail here. So this is the pen made by Sean at the London Pen Company, and I am liking what he's doing with his pens more recently. I like the length of the Christopher model, and I like this one, which is the Christopher 15. 15 denotes a 15mm section and body. It's a really, really lovely pen, and I absolutely love the girth in this pen. So this is made from the Jonathan Brooks Primary Manipulation 1 material, and you can just see this here. This material really is quite stunning. It's all poured by hand by Jonathan Brooks, and he makes this himself, the resin, and then sells these blanks to pen makers like Sean at London Pen Company, who will turn this into a pen. This comes with a Bock size, number 6 size nib, and it's a steel nib. It is a broad nib there. You can see the pen here is a very thick pen. The section is a little bit concave, which makes it a little bit more comfortable to hold. The pen here is actually quite chunky in your hands, but I like chunky pens. And as I understand it from Sean, the number 15 models here are flying off the shelves because people like the size of these. So you can go to his website, londonpencompany.com, and you can have a look. He has a whole load of pens pre-made available for sale, so you can actually handpick the color and pattern that you want, which I think is a really, really good idea. I know it's really hard for custom pen makers because a lot of time, as soon as they make a pen and they show it and then somebody buys it, but sometimes people just want to go and buy a pen without actually either commissioning it or be able to go and sort of peruse their website and actually take a look. So I do think the route that Sean is going is a really good route, and as a customer, it's something that I would like to see. I'd like to see more custom pen makers having a website, not just showcasing some of their past pens that they've made, but also pens that are available to buy as well. But it does also mean that they will sell out quickly, and then they've got to up their game in terms of making more pens, which then becomes a little bit more difficult. So I completely get that. I understand that from the custom pen maker perspective. The next pen is the Black Robin Pens Iago, and this is in a silver Stardust material. This is from Meg at Black Robin Pens, and it's a beautiful material. I wanted to get this pen. It had sold out. Meg actually made another one and messaged me and said, before I put this up for sale, do you want it? I said, yes, please. I like a little bit of glitter. This is, wiping the nib off there because it's a little bit inky, is a number 6 size Yovo nib. It's a medium nib. The pen's a cartridge converter. It's a nice length. I was a little bit more concerned on the diameter of the section because it's around 10 millimeters, and I do find the thinner the sections can be more problematic for me. I know a lot of people like thinner sections. I personally like thicker sections, but I find this very comfortable. So I'm actually glad that I did get this from Meg, because sometimes you have this myth in your head that a section of a certain size is going to be too thin, and I had that myth, but when I got it in my hands, I like it. So I have to say that this was a good catch from Meg, and I like writing with this pen. So I have that one inked up with me this week. The next pen is an Atelier Lusso Andromeda, and I call this the dragon. It was actually a wyvern's serpent. I was really after a dragon. I couldn't find a dragon, so I call this the dragon. Unfortunately, if you don't like seeing a serpent on here and me calling it a dragon, then I'm sorry, but this is just I call it a dragon. You see the Alpha Lusso there. It's a beautiful white pen. It was a pen that I had commissioned from Eric, and he made this pen for me out of this material, and I wanted a dragon or a serpent here on the cap. If I unscrew the cap, you'll see it has a number 6 size Yovo nib, broad nib. Now, the only thing I will say is that white pens with white sections, or pens with white sections, will stain. So that is something just to bear in mind. If you are going to get a white pen, certainly commissioned, you may want to get some replacement sections, or have a different colored section. Like perhaps maybe a golder color section would be better on this pen, but it is what it is. So it's just something to bear in mind, that white resins or acrylics will stain more. The next pen here is a Edison pen company. It's the Collier, and this is in the antique marble, and this is a beautiful material that you can see here. You just look at that chatoyance going on. Absolutely stunning. It's a pen that I haven't written with for a long time. I think I wrote with it last week. I've got it inked up anyway, and I thought I would keep it inked up. It has an Edison Yovo nib there, and it's a broad nib. It's a cartridge converter pen. These Colliers are not designed to post. You physically cannot post them. But I find these pens are quite wide and quite long, so I don't need to post these caps. But this is a beautiful material, and I like it a lot. So I've got that one inked up with me this week as well. Another pen which I do like as well, I've got a lot of pens in my collection that I do like. This is the Visconti Davina, and this is a Desert Spring. It's a celluloid material. It's got a captured converter, and if you've never seen a captured converter, you basically pull out this knob and you twist it, and that activates a captured or built-in non-removable converter inside the body. So you can't actually flush it out easily, unfortunately, like you would a standard regular converter. This is a beautiful material, celluloid. You don't see the celluloid that often nowadays, so this is a beautiful celluloid. And if I remove the cap, you'll see there it has a 23 cap palladium medium nib with an ABS plastic feed. It's a long pen, or longish pen. I find it very, very comfortable to write with. It's also faceted, and you'll see these facets here as I shine the studio lights around. If I move that pen, you'll see how those facets twist around the body. But I love that a lot. It's a really, really, really good model of pen. Normally the Divinas have silver rods running around those twists, but this one I'm glad it does not. The next pen is this large pen. It's a Visconti, and this is the Ecstasy d'Oud. D'Oud as in the fragrance. and this was a pen really made for the Middle East. So the idea with this pen, if you haven't seen me show this pen before, is that basically you have this cap here, or the cap finial, which does unscrew. You put some sort of fluff material in here, and what you do, this pen, because it's effectively a fragrance pen, you unscrew the blind cap here, you unscrew this cap, and then you have a compartment that holds perfume or oud, and then you have a dabber. So what you do is you just dab that in there. Obviously you have to hold the pen with your thumb over it so it doesn't leak out, and then you dab in here to scent the cotton fluff, and then you screw that back into place and screw the blind cap back on. It's an interesting pen. I know Dante, when he was at Visconti, used to make a lot of pens like this. I've got a Speakeasy with a similar type system. The nib in here is a 23 cat palladium medium nib. Now, because of this reservoir that will hold perfume, you don't have a large ink capacity, so you just have this very small push-pull piston. So that does only hold around about 0.5, 0.6 milliliters of ink. But I like it. I like the pen, and I love how it writes. So the one thing I will show you here is this what they call black lucite resin has some gold dust impregnated or sprinkled throughout it, and you may see that here a little bit if I can angle. Just trying not to angle the studio lights on it, but you may see that gold dust there. So it is a beautiful, beautiful pen, and it's a pen that I like a lot. So I have that one inked up this week as well. Then I have another big pen, and this is the Pilot Custom Yurushi in the Vermilion, and this is a massive pen in terms of girth. It's a Yurushi pen, and it's Yurushi in a vermilion color. It's a beautiful pen. It's very, very smooth but very hard. I say hard. It feels smooth and maybe soft to the touch, but it is actually hard. So it's very difficult to try and describe how Yurushi feels like. But it is a solid surface. It's not like a spongy surface, but the texture is very smooth, and that kind of lends to like a softness to a degree. So it is a Pilot Custom Yurushi, and if I unscrew this, it has a huge nib on it, and this is a number 30 size nib, and that's a fine medium nib. And you can see there the ebonite feed. It's a really, really lovely pen. It comes with a Con 70 push button converter, and I know a lot of people don't like the Con 70s, but I haven't had any major issues with the Con 70 myself. But I think I only have it in this one pen. So I think, what other Pilot pens have I got? I've only got Vanishing Points, and they won't have the 70. They have the Con 40, I think. Yeah, so I think this may be the only Pilot that I have with that Con 70. But I like it. I like it a lot. So I have that one inked up with me this week as well. The next one I have inked up is this one, and this is the Pelikan M805 Ocean Swirl. It's a beautiful, beautiful material. I know, though, it has, and it's surrounded by a lot of controversy. If anybody was around when this pen was released, everybody saw the pictures and they thought that this was what the pen looked like all the way round. But no, there's a lot of dark areas in a lot of those pens. But I still like it. Yes, I was a little bit disappointed, but not as disappointed as many who returned their pens to retailers. I really like this pen, and it's a gorgeous pen. I have this with a Pelikan M800 nib there, or M805. It's a rhodium coloured nib. It's a broad 18 karat gold nib. It's a piston filling pen as well. I do like it, and you can line these patterns up if you get the thread right. So there you go. So I have that one inked up with me this week. The next pen I have is this one. It's a Delta Federico. Delta are long gone. Delta was a company that had three partners. One of them was Ciro Matroni, who is now with his son at Leonardo. They run Leonardo Officina Italiana, and also Nino Marino as well. And Nino Marino has his Nettuno, and I think it's Maiora pens as well. So they split the company up and they went their separate ways. So Delta's long gone now, but there are still a lot of Delta pens out there. So this is the Federico, and you can just see that lovely orange cracked ice effect there. So this is a lovely pen. It has an 18 karat gold nib. Just double check. Yeah, it's a Delta nib. And that is a broad nib, but honestly, if I show you that there, that is more like a double broad. It is a very, very interesting nib. So that is a pen that I like writing with. It's almost a double broad, but yeah, it's a lovely nib. So I have that one inked up with me this week as well. And then the last pen I have inked up is an Atelier Lusso Carina, and this is in the Black Ice Alumilite, and this is a stunning, stunning material. It's like a marble countertop. It's just beautiful the way that looks. It's made of Alumilite, and Alumilite has a blend of other materials. So you have these like little metal chinks there that you can see throughout the cap, or the filling knob, and also the body there as well. So you'll see them just sort of sprinkled around here and there, and you'll see them also on that cap as well. So it's a lovely pen. I had this commissioned. This was a material that I did handpick from Erica Atelier Lusso in California. I have a steel Yovo nib. It's a gold-plated nib. It's a broad nib, and it's a cartridge converter pen, and I like it. I like it a lot. So I have that one inked up with me this week as well. So I think with that, let's go and do a writing sample. So the first pen is the London Pen Company Christopher 15. So let's do an ink swatch. And you can see here it's quite a nice wet nib. So this is the London Pen Company, and it's the Christopher 15 in the Jonathan Brooks Primary Manipulation 1. And it is a broad, and it's a Bock steel nib. And then the ink in here is Diamine Meadow, which is a really lovely grassy coloured ink. The next pen is the Black Robin Pens Iago. So we'll do an ink swatch, and you'll see here that this is a medium nib, but it actually writes quite nicely. And you will see maybe a little bit of glitter left in here. I need to probably flush this pen out a few more times because I did have some glitter in it before. This is the black Robin pens, Iago, and it's in the silver Stardust or silver dust. And it is a medium, and it's a Yovo steel nib. And then the ink in here is Diamine Earl Grey. But that is a beautiful ink to be paired with that pen. The next pen is the Atelier Lusso Andromeda in the Dragon. So we'll do an ink swatch. And this is a really beautiful peachy colour. Very pastel in colour as well, or in lightness. So this is an Atelier Lusso Andromeda, and it's the Dragon, and it's a broad, and it's a Yovo steel nib. And then the ink in here is Diamine Peach Haze. The next pen is an Edison pen company. It's a Collier in Ancient Marble. So we'll do an ink swatch. And I think that this ink actually lends itself very nicely to this colour of pen. So this is an Edison pen company, and it's the Collier, and it's in antique marble, and it has a broad steel nib. That's a Yovo nib. And then the ink in here is Robert Oster, and it's gold Antiqua. And I did have this inked up last week, and I just love that pen a lot. The next pen is a Visconti, and this is the Davina in the Desert Spring. So we'll do an ink swatch. And you'll see here, this is a really beautiful, punchy pink ink, almost a very bright, vibrant pink ink. So this is the Visconti Davina Desert Spring, and it's in a medium 23 cat palladium nib. And then the ink in here is Pilot Iroshizuku Sutsuji. But that is a really beautiful sort of hot pink, really. The next pen is the Visconti Ecstasy Dude, and we'll do an ink swatch. And I probably should ink this up in a black or another colour ink, but I don't really write with black inks that often, and I first inked this up with Diamine Majestic Purple because I'd had this in some other pens, and I absolutely loved how it wrote, and I've never changed it since. So this is the Visconti, and it's the Ecstasy, and it's the Dude, and it's a medium 23 cat palladium nib, and you'll see here it just writes super wet, fire hose wet. Now the ink in here is Diamine, and it's Majestic Purple, which really is my ultimate favourite purple ink. The next pen is the Pilot Custom Yurushi in the Vermilion. So we'll do an ink swatch. Now this is a finer nib. it's somewhere between a fine and a medium. It's actually called a fine medium. So is that a medium fine or is it a fine medium? I take quite a few people say an FM nib is a medium fine, and I would say it probably is in terms of how it feels in the width, but I would say it's more of a finer medium, hence fine medium. So this is the Pilot Custom Yurushi in the Vermilion, and it does have a fine medium nib, and it's an 18 karat gold nib. And then the ink in here is Mont Blanc Corn Poppy Red, which is a beautiful red ink. One that I have 5 bottles of still. The next pen is the Pelikan M805, and this is the Ocean Swirl. So we'll do an ink swatch. Now, I do find that the nib on here can be quite wet, but this is a very dry ink. So if you're looking for a dry ink, then this ink is definitely one of those inks that I say is quite dry. So this is the Pelikan, and it's the M805, and it's the Ocean Swirl. And it has a broad 18 karat gold nib. And then the ink in here is Diamine, and it's Eau de Nil, which is a nice ink, but I do find in a lot of pens it's a dry ink. The next pen is the Delta Federico. So we'll do an ink swatch. And you can see that this is a very, very broad nib here. So this is the Delta Federico. And I do find it's quite a wet nib as well. This is a broad, but honestly, I find this actually a little bit more like towards a double broad compared to some of the other broad nibs here. Now, this is a broad, and it's a steel nib, and I believe this is a Bock nib. Pretty sure it's a Bock nib. And then the ink in here is Diamine, and it's Blaze Orange, which is a very nice orange ink. And then the last pen is an Atelier Lusso Carina in the Black Ice Alumilite. So we'll do an ink swatch. And this is another brighter ink colour. And I do find this a little bit on the dry side as well. So this is an Atelier Lusso Carina in the Black Ice. It's a broad steel nib. And the ink, which is quite dry, I find, is Monteverde Mango Mousse. And typically a lot of orangey, peachy inks can be a little bit more on the dry side, not on the wet side. So I think let's take a look at these pens inked up one more time. So we have a London pen company. This is the Christopher in 15 in primary manipulation 1 in a broad steel nib, inked up with Diamine Meadow. We have a black Robin Pens Iago in the Silver Dust in a medium steel nib, inked up with Diamine Earl Grey. We have an Atelier Lusso Andromeda in the Dragon in a broad steel nib, inked up with Diamine Peach Haze. And you can see how very light pastel-y that peach is looking. We have an Edison Pen Company Collier in the antique marble in a broad steel nib, inked up with Robert Oster Gold Antiqua. We have a Visconti Davina Desert Spring in a medium 23 karat palladium nib, inked up with Pilot Roshizuku Sutsuji. We have a Visconti Ecstasy Daoud in a medium 23 karat palladium nib, inked up with Diamine Majestic Purple. We have a Pilot Custom Yurushi in the Vermilion in a fine medium 18 karat gold nib, inked up with Mont Blanc Corn Poppy Red. We have a Pelikan M805 Ocean Swirl in a broad 18 karat gold nib, inked up with Diamine Eau de Nil. We have a Delta Federico in a broad steel nib, inked up with Diamine Blaze Orange. And last but not least, we have an Atelier Lusso Carina in the black ice in a broad steel nib, inked up with Monteverde Mango Mousse. So there you have it. That's my currently inked pens for this week. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next pen video. Bye bye.